Good morning and welcome to the Life After 50 show. Our sponsor today is FindHoustonSeniorCare.com. FindHoustonSeniorCare.com is a one-stop directory for all things senior care and senior living in the greater Houston area. You can easily find senior living options, home care companies, elder law attorneys, and so much more. In fact, all past episodes of the Life After 50 show are also archived on the Find Houston Senior Care website. The goal of this website is to help families get the information they need easily and effectively. After the age of 50, there's a lot of challenges and new opportunities that show up. And that's what this show, Life After 50, is all about. Today, we're going to talk about one of those opportunities and challenges. I'm talking about Medicare. And yes, it's an opportunity to get the health care you so desperately need. And it can be quite a challenge to figure it all out. There are so many different plans and solutions and options that you can choose from. It can be quite overwhelming for most people. So that's why I brought on some experts today. We have two experts coming onto the show today. They are Nicole Tussy and Jamie Spratley, and they are with the MyHoustonInsuranceAgent.com. So I'm going to bring them on and we're going to have a chat. I want you to know that you can ask questions. Simply put them in the comment section below and I will get one of these ladies to answer for you. I also want to point out that both Jamie and Nicole are insurance brokers. And what this means is they're independent. They work with a multitude of companies, not just one. So you're not going to be pigeonholed into one solution. You're going to be able to find out all of the different solutions, and they're going to be able to help guide you based on your needs to find the best solution that's going to fit your particular situation. Because let's face it, we're all different and we all have different needs, right? So let me bring these two ladies on. I'm going to bring Nicole and Jamie. And I think Jamie has gotten frozen, so I'm not going to bring her up yet. Jamie, would you please reboot your camera? Up, she's coming back in. So right now we have Nicole in here. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hello.
And now I see Jamie. Yes. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Hello.
And now we have Jamie. Jamie, thank you for being on the show today as well.
Hello.
So you ladies are really busy, imagine, this time of year, because we're getting ready to go into what's called open enrollment, right?
Yes, that is true.
So would you just explain to us real quick what open enrollment means? Because there may be some people that are listening to this show that don't really understand what that means.
So open enrollment, basically you get one chance every year between October 15th and December 7th, where you can switch your plan. So, and typically it's for January effective dates. So your plan will start January 1st with a new plan. So every year you get a chance. You're not stuck in a plan, basically.
That's great. That's good to know, because I think a lot of people think they are. I think there's a lot of stress over picking a plan because they think they're stuck with it for life, and that's not necessarily true.
Well, and during open enrollment is whenever the new benefits are released for the plan. So if anything changes, one of the reasons as insurance brokers, what we do with our personal clients is we assist them with their needs assessment to see if there's any doctors that are new for them to see and that they're maybe not currently in the network with their plan. If there's any changes with prescription drugs. So we look at the doctors and the medications to make sure that the plan that they're currently with is still best to fit their needs for 2019. But with the open enrollment, you do have the option of going from Medicare Advantage plan to a different Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Advantage to a supplement Medigap policy and vice versa. So that window of time, October 15th to December 7th, is when you are actually able to make any type of Medicare change that you would like within that plan, with the different plans with the different companies.
Can you explain to us what's the difference between a Medicare Advantage plan and a Medicare traditional plan, or whatever the other one is called?
Yes, so the Medicare supplement, also known as a Medigap policy, whenever you have traditional Medicare, there are two parts. It's Part A, which is your hospital, and Part B, which is your medical. Whenever you have both Medicare Part A and B, you do incur a responsibility for out-of-pocket costs, deductibles, as well as co-insurance. So Medicare has worked with private insurance companies to create two different options for you to be able to fill in the gaps and protect yourself from being responsible for the out-of-pocket cost. So the first option would be a Medigap policy. If you've heard of the letters like N, F, K, G, these Medigap policies are where you pay a monthly premium. They are based on your age and zip code, or they might be community-based, but there is a monthly premium that you pay every month. And the benefit of this type of policy is that you are able to go to any doctor in the country that's contracted with Medicare. So it gives you maximum flexibility. Then you have a standalone prescription drug plan to go along with that. Separate, another way to fill in the gaps is to look at the Medicare Advantage option. Medicare Advantage generally could be $0 a month. So it doesn't have the monthly premium like the Medigap policy does. You do have to abide by a network, but depending on the company, there are certain companies that have very large networks, and then there are other companies that have smaller, more managed pod-styled networks, but they're more cost effective. And then again, that's why Nicole and I, one of the important things is we do the needs analysis so that we can see which option is going to be the best option for you to keep your doctors and your medications.
Right. So I want to go back just a minute on the Medicare traditional plan. So you get this supplement to pay probably a 20% deductible, 20% copay. So you get this other policy, and that's called Medigap, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
A lot of people call it a Medicare supplement, but at the end of the day, both options are a supplement. Okay. So I prefer to call it a Medigap policy personally. That way there's kind of a defined difference between the two options. But yes, when you pick up a Medigap policy or even a Medicare Advantage, that out-of-pocket cost that it covers for you is going to be your Part A hospital deductible, which is $1,340. Mm-hmm. And then you have a per day copay if you're in the hospital beyond 60 days. The Part B is going to be your medical, in which you do have a one-time deductible of $183 and then 20% of the medical. So that is a really huge responsibility whenever you go into the hospital and you're billed that 20% for the lab, the X-ray.
That can add up really fast.
It could be absolutely catastrophic. And I think we all know that we could go in the hospital for a day, and the medical bills, whenever we see the actual itemized for that, before Medicare contracting amount even, it can be, $50,000.
Yeah.
So when you choose one of these two options, it's actually just protecting you from having to be put in a position to be responsible for the Part A and the Part B.
Jamie, we've got a question that Angela Danielle has posted. She said, which of these plans is good when you're traveling a lot? And that's a really good question.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever you're traveling, the nice thing to know, Angela, is that you are absolutely protected. When you travel, all your emergency benefits go with you, regardless of who your company or the plan style is. So your hospital, your emergency, your urgent care, your ambulance, All of these, whatever your plan outline is, whether you're on a supplement Medigap policy, or if you're on a Medicare Advantage where it's outlined with a copay, a specific copay, when you travel, you are not going to be responsible for an out-of-network higher cost share, in other words, being penalized for traveling. You are protected at your in-network copays when you travel. Now, within the country, it can be an outline of copays. Whenever, just to kind of address out of the country, because I'm sure a lot of people, and I get that question a lot, when you travel out of the country, they are not familiar with Medicare or, Blue Cross or United Healthcare or HealthSpring, all of those companies. It doesn't register with them. They understand Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. That's the language that they speak. So you do pay your medical upfront when you're traveling out of the country. But when you come back, you reach out to your company or to your insurance broker, and we provide for you a reimbursement form. So you'll take your itemized medical bill when you were outside the country, and you'll attach it to the reimbursement form and submit it to your insurance carrier. They will reimburse you everything minus your copay.
Now that works with both Advantage and traditional Medicare?
Yes. Well, supplemental insurance, Medigap policy specifically, will have a certain dollar amount. This is going to be dependent on the type of policy and the plan as far as a dollar amount allowed. Certain type of Medigap policies will have a certain amount that you cannot exceed for reimbursement within a given, lifetime of the policy. So we would look at that specific. If somebody travels outside the country a lot and they don't have a traveler's insurance policy, then we would definitely look at the specifics for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of people that are living maybe 6 months in Mexico and 6 months here, they're traveling around. I've also got a friend who's doing the RV thing, staying in the United States, but she'll live maybe 3 months one place, 2 months another place, 2 months another place. So she's really moving around a lot. What would be the best thing for her?
It really depends on how often or frequent she goes to the physician's office, in my personal opinion. If you're just traveling and you're not established somewhere for 6 months, for example, 6 months is pretty much you're a resident in that particular area. Therefore, you would probably want to have a primary. And if you are, say, you had a procedure in the hospital and you need to have follow-up with a physician every so many months, then you may want to have established physicians at that particular residence. My opinion, personally, would be the Medigap policy, where you pay the monthly premium based on your age, or it's community, or it could be community premium quoted, depending on where you live. Do they have these type of policies? But in the end, it would just allow you to have access to all the doctors that are contracted with Medicare. But if somebody is traveling like at a different location every 2 months, then because their emergency benefits go with them, if they have an established residence, at one specific area that they route back to, then they could look at a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medigap policy.
Yeah. Okay.
If they can afford a Medigap policy, that would probably be the recommendation that I personally would have, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to look at your financial situation. You have to look at what your needs are. And that's why, talking with an independent insurance broker like Jamie or Nicole is so important. Don't try to do it yourself. Yes, you can go online and you can read all kinds of information and you can pick something, but really get some expert advice. It's not going to cost you anything, and it could save you a lot in the end. Let's see, I have another question that I know somebody had sent in earlier to me. She said, how can I pay my Medicare Part B premium if I'm not drawing Social Security? Good question.
Well, basically, you have to pay quarterly to Social Security. So that's 4 times a year. Every 3 months, they will bill you, and you take care of it that way. Typically, when you're drawing Social Security, take that amount out. If you're drawing Social Security, they just deduct it before they send you a check.
Right. And there's a lot of people that are waiting until 70 to draw that Social Security. So, that's a great question. Another one that somebody had asked was, what are the enrollment options for 2019? What kind of changes are we seeing? What's going on out there, guys?
Nicole? Well, your enrollment periods are basically, when you are new to Medicare, you have your initial enrollment period. It's the 3 months before the month of, and then 3 months after your birthday, your 65th birthday. That's typically the initial enrollment. And then you have the, what we spoke about before is that annual enrollment period that starts October 15th of this year and runs through December 7th. And during that time, you can switch your plan for January 2019. So that's the annual enrollment period. We've got a new enrollment period starting this for 2019. It's a new change for Medicare. And basically, if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan and you had switched during the annual enrollment period, you have a second time. If you changed your mind and you wanted to switch to another Medicare Advantage plan, you can do so between January 1st and the end of March. So that's a new one. And then, of course, we have the special enrollment periods, which if you have a special circumstance, like you're coming off group, or you have a new chronic condition, or, there's several different, enrollment periods that you could qualify for during the year. So during the year, you can switch plans if you qualify for one of those special enrollments. So there's times pretty much all year that you can switch your plan. And we help people with that all year.
Great.
And we do have on our website the whole list of special elections, because there's a lot of questions. And one of the major questions that Nicole and I get is, what if I'm moving? If you're moving from one county to another, one state to another, then once you notify Social Security of your new residence, then they actually grant you a window of time to be able to change your insurance policy. Because I know, again, it's one of those major concerns is, if I move, am I going to be out of network? And, what if I need to go to the doctor? Or what if I'm currently seeing a type of specialist and I need to get a new specialist? Do I have to wait until, the end of the year of annual enrollment? And the answer is no. Once you notify Social Security office of your updated residence, then you will be granted a window of time to be able to get an updated current plan for your particular county and service area. Also, I just wanted to clarify, the end of the year is considered annual enrollment period. October 15th to December 7th is when you're able to get out there and look at different companies, type of policies, go to maybe some meetings that agents are holding to understand and see the new updated changes in that particular company or plan. January 1st to March 31st is called open enrollment. It's a little confusing, I know.
That is confusing.
I know. Open enrollment is whenever you are able, as Nicole mentioned, to change from one Medicare plan to another Medicare plan, or if you want to go from a Medicare plan back to traditional Medicare and pick up a Medigap policy. And then special election is actually the whole calendar year, because everybody's a little bit different. You could apply for Medicaid, which is extra help. You may lose Medicaid because your income changed. If you move from one county to another, if you retire, if you develop a chronic condition, there are certain companies and plans that are available that may help you with prescription drugs to lower the cost for that particular chronic condition. So therefore you could enroll. So there's several different options, but I would just kind of see it as three different categories.
Let me stop you for just a minute. I thought of something I wanted to ask. If you are on a Medicare Advantage plan and things are going along fine, you haven't really had a lot of health issues, and then suddenly you have the massive heart attack. You go in, you have lots of surgery. Now things have changed. If you decide at that time you want to switch over to the traditional Medicare plan, Is it going to be hard for you or a lot more expensive for you to now get a Medigap policy?
The answer is most likely yes. The thing is that whenever you are new to Medicare and you are coming off of, say, a group where you're just turning 65 and you're new to Medicare, then you have what's called guarantee issue, which is whenever you have no pre-existing conditions that are going to keep you or cause you to be rated up. So therefore, you're just going to be able to be enrolled onto that type of policy. However, if you have a chronic condition or you have a situation that arises and then you would like to go to a Medigap policy, then you are subject to answering underwriting questions. It varies by company. Certain companies will maybe allow you to be on their policy even though you've had a recent incident. However, they'll just increase your rate depending on the type of incident. Or there may be other types of companies or policies where their guidelines is you're just denied. So, and that's again one of the reasons.
Yeah, how strict are they? I mean, I know in the past, just on regular insurance, not Medicare, I'm not there quite yet, I'm almost there. But just with regular insurance, if you were on a medication, like say high blood pressure medicine, they would rate you higher. Even though you've never had an incident, you've never had any heart attacks or strokes or anything like that, but you're taking the medication, would you be rated higher most likely?
Nicole, I would say no, correct? We haven't had any medication questions.
No, they don't base it on that. They have a series of questions that they ask, and typically they'll ask if you are a doctor has scheduled surgery for you for a particular item, or if you have certain conditions like heart conditions, diabetes, like that.
Failure.
So those are the kind of the questions that'll determine whether you'll be able to get on that supplement. So, and then after that, there's a series of health questions that they'll ask to rate, which is very, very specific health conditions. But as far as blood pressure medicine specifically, that is not a question, I believe, that they ask.
I didn't know if they would consider that a heart condition if you have high blood pressure.
No, they go more on what the doctor has actually made a statement or would put in writing that you have this particular health condition. More of that than just taking maintenance drugs. Right.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Good information to have. Let's see. We've got a few more questions and we're getting close. I'm getting close to the end of the show, but HMO networks, open access, IPA and pods. What's the difference? Can you explain this?
That is a really good question. And probably, in my opinion, one of the most important to understand is how the networks work. When I started doing Medicare meetings about 9 years ago, as soon as somebody heard HMO or in the meeting, I told them, okay, this is a Medicare Advantage plan, also known as an HMO. It has a network of doctors. I mean, everybody just tried to just bulldoze me over and run out the door. And we've come a long way where it's a lot more calm now. And there's a little bit more of an understanding of how it works. But it's always something we like to just re-explain over and over again. Whenever you have a Medicare Advantage plan, there's a few different ways that the networks can work. The reason why HMO had, in my opinion, a bad rap or there was kind of a stigma against it was because whenever a Medicare beneficiary would go on to a Medicare Advantage plan, they didn't necessarily understand if the plan was a pod or what is called open access. So if they had several doctors that were not confirmed to be in the network and they enrolled onto the plan, then if they enrolled onto a pod plan, then they were assigned to just a particular small managed type of group of physicians. And they weren't able to keep their particular physicians. And so that restriction gave HMO a very negative rap or reputation, I should say. However, if you understand how the network works, then it can be a very, very, very good policy to have and very cost effective as well. So open access is where you are enrolled onto a Medicare Advantage plan. The network, let's say, for example, we have a company here in Houston that has over 12,000 physicians in the network. You can go to any of the doctors in the network. You don't have to be assigned to a particular group of physicians in your neighborhood. And you can get a second opinion, say that you just didn't connect personality-wise with a physician, you can change. So you can move throughout the network however you see fit for yourself. An IPA, which is an Independent Physicians Association, or also known as like a pod type plan or group, is where there's a particular group of physicians that have a contract with a company that is more of a managed type care type plan. And when you enroll onto this plan, you have a primary and then you have a group of specialists, and they tell you where to go. So if I meet someone that says, Jamie, don't give me this huge provider network or provider directory, I'm going to go to the hospital that's closest. I want my primary to tell me what specialist to go to, when to get lab and x-rays. They want more of a hand-holding type. Then for them, the IPA or the pod, which pretty much means the same thing, these types of companies and plans will work beautifully for them. So it's not always just about the extra benefits or the exact copay amount comparison, but from a bird's eye view, you'll want to understand how the network is going to work for you.
I like that. That's really good information because like I was saying before, we're all different. We all have different needs, different desires, different wants, and you just explained that perfectly how that works. So thank you for that. We have got, I'm sorry, but we're running out of time here. So I know there was something else that y'all wanted to let everybody know about. I've got just a couple of minutes left. What else would you like us to know?
Well, I did want to say that we are brokers and we're contracted with all of the Medicare plans in Houston. So we're able to do a needs analysis for people as independent brokers, and we're able to narrow down what plan is best for people. And also we have a website, myhoustoninsuranceagent.com.
And I've just put it on the screen so everybody can see it.
And we're going to have a lot of community meetings in Pearland and in Deer Park. And we're going to be putting those on our website calendar, October 1st. So we'll be having meetings through December 7th. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Great. So you can go to myinsuranceagent.com. And if there's anybody listening that wouldn't mind typing that into our comment section, then everybody will have a link to the website as well. That would be helpful. If not, after the show, I'll go in and type it into the comments so you can have that link. But you can go. Yes, ma'am.
Just one last thing I would probably just point out, if anything, is that I know it's a lot of information to take in, but the government does allow for you to have a 1-year trial for a Medicare Advantage. And so if you're on a Medigap policy, like an F or a K or an N, and you want to try a Medicare Advantage, but you're kind of nervous because it's like, well, if I go back and I answer those health questions, I don't want to lose my policy. The government, Medicare, allows you to have a whole year. Certain companies, or a certain company actually allows 2 years, but Medicare does allow you to have a year to try a Medicare Advantage plan. If you love it, stay with it. If you don't, then you can actually go back to your Medigap policy with no penalty, no underwriting questions.
Oh, wonderful. That's really good information. That's huge. Yes, that's huge. I think that would give a lot of people a lot more comfort in maybe making the switch and trying that, because the Medicare Advantage plans do have a lot of different perks that you're not going to get with the traditional Medicare. And I wish we could talk about that, but maybe we'll have another show and we can talk about that. Guys, I want to thank you, Nicole and Jamie, for coming on the show today. We really, really appreciate
Thank you so much.
Information. Again, This is the Life After 50 show, what you need to know. Next week, we are going to have an interesting guest on. We've got Dr. Joseph Cass from Baylor College of Medicine. He's going to be talking about the 8 pillars of brain health. That's something everybody needs to know. We all want to keep our minds as sharp as possible. We all want to avoid things like dementia. So he's going to talk to us about what we can do and the 8 pillars of brain health. Join us next week. Again, this is the Life After 50 show, Catherine Watson, and I'm so glad to have had these 2 ladies on today. Go out and visit their website and get the information you need and sit down and talk with them. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.